Hello, welcome. This is The Last of Kyle and Vince, a companion podcast show thing for HBO's The Last of Us. Season 1, Episode 4 is what we are going to be talking about today. I am your host, Vince, and I'm also here with...
your other host, Kyle.
Hey, pal. How you been?
I'm good.
I'm going to start this the way I've started pretty much every single one of these so far. How do you feel about this episode?
This was a good episode. Keep going good.
I don't want to spoil my review at the end of this one, but I think this one might be my favorite so far.
Yeah.
And it's short. I think it's the shortest one we've had so far.
It's 50 minutes?
45.
45.
I like this one. I like the one with Bill a lot. I like the one where Tess dies. And I I thought for a while my favorite was just going to be the first episode. Mm-hmm. Just because I like the way it sets everything up. I feel like it emotionally captures a lot of things. The changes are minimal, but this one has a pretty, in my mind, it's significant because instead of being in Pittsburgh, it's in Kansas City, Missouri, which is fine. You know, we're from Pennsylvania, Kyle. I kind of like seeing PA in some things.
Right.
Like when Fallout 3 had the pit, I even consider going back to 76 because of the pit. But this is an episode that I absolutely adored. There's a few scenes in here where I watched this with some friends again. It hasn't been every week I've had a little viewing party. But this is one where I was quite literally on the edge of my seat for different reasons each time, which I thought was really interesting. Is there any standout moments you want to... This is a spoiler discussion, I should say, before we even get into it, even though I have spoiled some things thus far. Is there anything you want to talk about in particular?
I think we just start off at the beginning because
Sure.
were last week we're yeah, that scene wasn't in there, and then bam, there it is.
The sticky magazines. Yeah, I'm. You made a good point last episode when I said, "Oh, how are you not going to put the sticky mags in there?" Even in my notes, I didn't write notes for this one, but I think you can see my notes from last week because we have that shared Discord channel that's just for notes, and I put there oh, how come no sticky mags? And it opens with the exact dialogue from the game.
Yep.
Of Ellie flipping through a porno mag going, how's he walking around with that thing? And then she goes, why are all the pages sticky? And Joel's like, well, and she's like, I'm fucking with you. I really appreciate it. It got a big laugh out of me, like a big dumb fool. I was sitting in my living room, my friends laughing at that. I like that a lot. I don't know how you feel about this. I don't know if this is considered to be apocalypse porn or what have you. But I really, really like just the desolate shots of the earth overgrowing the man-made structures.
Right. And there's buffalo and animals coming back and stuff like that.
The buffalo was sick because I didn't think I was going to see any animal life. That was just cool because it was oh shit, that would come back.
Yeah.
There's the one scene where there's a train and the bridge collapsed and that shit. And I'm watching that and I'm smiling like a fool watching that. And I look at my one friend and I go, this is the future. I was this is 2029. We're going to war with China soon. This is it. This is what the world's going to look like in a couple years. It's exciting. And then, I like how they handled Ellie with her gun.
Yeah.
The opening opens Taxi Driver. She's you talking to me? She's pointing the gun. She doesn't say that, but she's pointing the gun in the mirror and shit. And I like how this episode you finally get to see a little bit of Joel's humanity.
Yeah.
You see it a little bit in the first episode, and then he's kind of reserved. I think it's a little quick that they're moving through it, but you see it. I think it makes sense, even though I feel like it's being moved through a little quick. When Joel goes, all right, I think that's enough driving for today, they pull over and Ellie's no one's going to get us, right? And he's no one's going to get us. And then he just doesn't sleep. Because he's I have to protect her. She might be cargo, but I have to protect her. What was your favorite scene in this episode?
Probably any time the joke book came up.
Really?
Yeah.
I think that's the exact joke book from the game.
It's also the same jokes too.
Is it?
Yeah.
I knew the Scarecrow one sounded familiar, but that's just one that I feel I knew when I was a kid.
It's all the same jokes, yeah.
That's awesome. It's little shit like that. Did you recognize that was Tommy's voice actor that played the military? Like,
yeah. I know what he looks like, so I was like, "That's
okay."
Yeah, that's Tommy.
So when my friends got here, I was saying, "Do you guys know which voice actors are playing what?" And I was saying the guy who does Joel, Troy Baker, is one of, what's his name, David's guys, and the woman who does Ashley Johnson, who does Ellie's voice, is going to be Ellie's mom in a flashback, and that's been like discussed or leaked or whatever. Also, Kyle, I'd like to point out, I watch everything with subtitles if I'm home. I just prefer subtitles. This used Ellie's full name in the subtitles. It said Ellie Williams. So the only reason I think I could be wrong on this. The only reason anybody knew Joel's last name was from The Last of Us 2. They show a headstone that says Joel Miller. And then the only reason anybody knew that Ellie's last name could have been Williams was because in Japan that got leaked.
Interesting.
And if I remember correctly, because I remember like looking into it, it was in Japan, until you become friendly with somebody, they refer to you as your last name. So if say your last name is Jones, right, Kyle? In Japan, I would refer to you as Jones until you and I became friends. Then I would call you Kyle.
Okay.
So that was like a thing that it might have been they had to do it for translation reasons. I don't remember. I remember looking into it, but it used Ellie's full name. And as far as I know, this is like the first confirmation of Ellie's last name being Williams. Sorry. It was just something that I want to make sure I said. And like I said, I didn't do notes this week.
Speaking of subtitles, the Easter egg thing was that I was watching said something about like, it doesn't say skip intro. It's like press start.
Really?
Yeah, I have to go check, but like that's what it was talking about. Something about that.
I didn't notice that. I'd have to go back and see that. That's a fun one. That's one that like I wouldn't even pick up on.
Yeah.
Cool. So I was saying we were saying about Tommy's voice actor. I knew it was a voice actor from the game because Kyle, you know how much of that Last of Us Online I've played the factions.
Mm-hmm.
I heard this guy, and all I could hear is "fucker ain't getting up," and I'm like, why can I hear this voice perfectly? And I couldn't put two and two together. Why the hell would they not just get the dude who did Tommy to come back just to do the online things? And I'm hearing him talk, and I'm just like, this is a dude who did the factions voice acting. I think my favorite part of this episode by far is it's not one for one, which I liked when the guy's like, "Help, I need help." And then he's like, "Ellie, put your seatbelt on." And he drives into the laundromat. There's genuine tension in that scene. Just genuine whole tension that I feel like they were trying to use tension in a scene later that they just didn't accomplish. And I don't think it's anybody's fault. I just think it just didn't hit the mark they were going for. But like when he's like, "You go behind that wall and you don't come out until I tell you to come out." This is what I want to see when I watch apocalypse fiction. I want to see people who are dying to live. When Joel starts shooting at those guys and the one dude runs around the back and gets him, and Ellie pops out of that back room through that wall and shoots that guy in his lower back, paralyzing him from the waist down. That pleading, the fighting, the bargaining that he's doing. He's like, no, it's okay. We're not fighting anymore. Like, that got me. Watching him in pain and Joel looking at Ellie and going, like, "I will yell at you later, but right now is not the time. You saved my life, but you should not have that gun." Honestly, I mean, show a gun, use a gun. I said it in the last episode too. I was very, very surprised that they used it so quickly. I thought it was going to show up at the end. Right. Which, Kyle, this episode has one of the best endings. By far one of the best endings of the 4 that have come out. And I'll explain why once we get there, but that dude parting with that knife, like anything, he was trying to part with anything he could just to make sure that he lives, to the point where Joel's like, "Get back behind the wall." And you hear that dude cry for Brian. You hear Brian call out for his mom as Joel murders him.
Yeah.
That's what I want to see in apocalypse fiction. That scene alone, I was like, this is the best episode so far. Like, this is it. Because I want to see how gruesome. And The Last of Us 2, I feel like, does a really good job at it. I want to see how hard it is to live in this world.
Right.
That's what I want to see. How do you feel about, what's her name? The woman.
The new one?
Kathleen? Yeah.
It's good. It's good. Interesting to see, like, other sides of stuff, too.
Yeah. Did you watch the Talking Dead afterwards?
I did not. No.
You didn't watch that? The little 5-minute thing?
I usually forget about it.
Shit. Okay. Well, Neil Druckmann was saying that, which I totally agree with, because the number one complaint that I always heard from anyone who didn't love The Last of Us is how come like there's always raiders. And he said he's like, in the game they're just kind of obstacles, and he's like, I love to humanize the villain. So he wanted to make the bad guys more, and which I feel like, dude, Last of Us 2 does that. It maybe doesn't do it for everybody, but you know, you kind of see Abby's side of the story.
Yeah.
So I like her. I think the thing that they missed out on the tension is when she goes back to shoot that doctor. I would have shot it differently. I would have told her to go in the little thing. But then again, now that I think about it, that going off in the room with her would have destroyed her hearing. So it's better that she didn't. Cool. What do you think that thing under the concrete was?
That's the bloater.
You think it's the bloater?
Yeah, because I think what Tess said is like it's spreading underground, the fungus.
So I wanted to ask you if you remember, because the only bloaters I remember are in Billstown, and then they show like a coming attraction for the next episode, and they tease the bloater, and it looks fantastic. Yeah. But do you remember the bloater other than in Billstown or the one time in Last of Us 2? Do you remember like how
I don't remember.
No? Okay.
Well, I remember the fight, but I don't remember if there's other...
Like the ground moving and shit.
Yeah.
Because, you know what my first thought was? I don't even know why. Gravemind from Halo.
Yeah.
I was like, why is Gravemind here? I don't even know, Kyle. I don't even know why my train of thought went in that direction.
I don't know.
It was just one of those things where I was like, why? Yeah. So a big one of my so let me break this one down. I love the first game a lot, and the reason why I feel like I love it so much is because it kind of slept on me. I kind of slept on it. I knew of it. I always wanted to play it. I watched a friend play the beginning of it. When I bought my PlayStation, one of the first games I bought was Kyle, the first games I bought were Injustice and The Last of Us 2 The Last of Us Remastered, right?
Right.
Then, like, 3 days later, they had a thing that if you bought a PlayStation, you got Watch Dogs free. So I took my PlayStation, or my receipt, back to GameStop, and I was like, you know, if I would have knew this was going to happen, I would have just waited and got the game too. So I got 3 games. They did a whole thing, and they were mad about it. But Last of Us was one of those. When my brother found out about it, that I had it, he wanted to play it. Before he had a PlayStation, he wanted to play it. And I've told this story on here, I know, and I've told it on other podcasts before, that I would come home from school and he'd be playing it, and I'd take a nap and he'd be in a different spot. I just kind of watch the game the way Pulp Fiction is, like just out of order. Like I watch the end of it, then I watch the beginning of it, then I watch the middle of it, then I watch the beginning again and all these other pieces until everything kind of fit, and I played through it again myself. But before Last of Us Part 2 came out, this is after having my brother around. Like, my brother not just being a baby. Like, my brother being able to, like, share his opinions on things. Because not to say that, like, a baby can't, but, you know, it's kind of hard to hear the opinions of a 4-year-old, a 5-year-old, a 6, 7-year-old. So my brother was 11, 12 at this point. And I replayed, maybe a little older. I don't remember. Follow me. I remember replaying it and getting to Sam and Henry. And what happens in the game, I don't want to say it, even though it's a spoiler discussion. I don't want to say it because we're approaching that part of the show. And if you're watching along, there's a part in there that just connected with me. Just really, really connected with me. Being an older brother. And having a younger brother and watching the dynamic of an older brother and a younger brother, and seeing how the older brother takes on a parental aspect, a parental what's the word I'm looking for, Kyle? You hear me floundering. Help me, please.
Parental figure.
Thank you. He becomes the parental figure, and just, it hit me. Like, at the end of their story with Joel and Ellie, it hit me in such a way that I think I was actually playing it with Olive. I remember, like, breaking down. Like, I remember crying. Like sobbing. Like, heavy sobbing. Like, it really, really touched me. And I think outside of Ellie running away and the giraffes, I've been waiting and to see how they're going to end it. I've been waiting the most to see Henry and Sam. And next episode is supposed to be an hour and a half long. I'm very curious to see what they're about to do with these two people. Also, which I want to talk about the ending with you in just a second because I think it's beautiful. Also, in the coming soon thing, either Henry has taught Sam like signs, like codes with hands so they don't have to speak, or he's deaf.
Yeah, I was wondering that too.
So if he's deaf, whatever, I'm not upset about it. It's just one of those things where I was like, that's an interesting choice to take because it's another one of those, how does somebody with a disability like that traverse through the apocalypse?
Yeah.
So before I talk about the ending, is there anything you want to bring up?
No, I think also the whole like Joel has bad hearing. But yeah, I think we kind of covered it.
One of my favorite episodes, it feels like there's not that much to Kyle. The recording time is not even 18 minutes as of this point. Like, it's such... Before we talk about the ending, because I want to talk about how well this is, like, full circle, right? Like, like this episode does see a gun, use a gun. Show a gun, use a gun very, very well. It's an episode that does everything it needs to do. Like, one of my friends was asking me, do you think they're going to break up the first game into 2 seasons? And I was like, no, from everything I've read, Neil Druckmann and Craig Mazin, it's some with an M. I'm sorry. I'm so awful with names. Neil and Craig both said, like, we needed 9 episodes. That's all we need. That's the first game. And they weren't guaranteed a second season until last episode. Right before last episode came out, the 3rd episode, they weren't guaranteed a second season. Kyle, it's like 7.3 concurrent viewers. 7.3 million concurrent viewers.
That is crazy.
And growing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, this is, and cable doesn't exist anymore. So this is like streaming numbers, and it's coming out weekly. It's coming out like old school. Kyle, listen to this. My uncle, total side tangent. My uncle, I don't think you've ever met my uncle, came over to my mom's house, came over for a visit, right? Right. And watched The Last of Us with my mom, has not watched the first 3 episodes. It ended, and he goes, put on the next one. And my mom's like, you can't. We got to wait till next week. He goes, what do you mean? I thought this was on HBO. He loved it and never had seen any other episode. So, like, I'm so curious to know, is this actually good, or is it good because I like it? Because I'm already a built-in audience. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, they can make a Fallout show, and they could be like, the war started in 2025. And I'd be like, all right, well, I'm going to watch. You know what I mean? They could be like, the events of the show takes place 2 years later, and Maxon's gonna walk all the way from California to Texas and then to West Virginia. And I'd be like, well, I'm still gonna watch. I'm still curious to know what's going on. Like, so this is where I am with The Last of Us. Is it good? I think so. I really do. So, okay, the ending. I love watching them go up the stairs. I feel like there is something that I'm not picking up on. Like, I feel like there's some sort of metaphor that I'm not necessarily getting. It might be Joel, like, getting over, like working up the confidence to trust Ellie. Like, I feel like there's something more there.
Stairs?
Yeah, like, I feel like the act of climbing the stairs, like the number 33, like, I know 33 is a big thing with, like, numerology. Like, people who are religious, it's the age Jesus was when he was crucified. Like, there's things in there. And I think there is some sort of, like, a Christ allegory going on in a lot of these types of, because it's the savior of mankind. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like, you know, the Bible's the best-selling book in the world. For a reason. People are going to draw inspiration from it. I'm not saying that this is directly this is inspiring The Last of Us. I'm just saying that there's little things that I'm picking up on.
I didn't get that at all. I just took that as a survival tactic of like, let's just climb as far as we can because no one else is going to really want to do that.
Kyle, and I'm with you, and that's probably all it is because I'm an asshole, and to me this is fun. You know what I mean? To like think like,
you got a whiteboard,
what are these stairs?
And he's just
I got just Pepe Silvia behind me, just just putting it together, right? Like because I feel like everything just led up to Joel saying to Ellie, "I'm sorry you had to do that," and him thinking of Sarah being shot and going, I'm sorry that you had to shoot him. I'm sorry that you had to see this. You are young and you shouldn't have any part in this. There's a point where Ellie goes, what's the point of fighting if there's nothing left to fight for? And he's like, you fight for family. And she goes, I'm not family. He goes, yeah, you're cargo. But Tess was like family. And I made a promise to Tess. And you can see these little bits of humanity coming back, and you can see all this. And what I'm about to say is absolutely projection because I know what happens in the game and I'm waiting for these characters to arrive. But you see all of this, and even Joel says, hey, Ellie, who's the person you said you had to hurt? And Ellie going, I don't really want to talk about it. And them having a moment, you get to see Joel laugh with a really bad diarrhea joke. And even Ellie goes, I notice you don't hear very well in your ear. Like little things that they're picking up on each other. Ellie still is human. Someone born without seeing what humanity once was is ironically, I don't even know if it's ironic, maybe I'm misusing the word, but funnily enough, is the most human motherfucker in the room. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I love him going, you shouldn't have to see this. You're too young. Them sharing a laugh, Joel going to bed, and the next scene is Ellie waking Joel up going, Joel. And there's an 8-year-old, a 9-year-old, a 10-year-old with a gun in Joel's face, and it looks like he knows how to use it. Such a fucking beautiful way to end the episode. Like just a constant slog of hurt. I love this ending. Kyle, I almost cried. That's how much this ending touched me.
Interesting.
Like I remember like sitting there and like knowing the story of Sam and Harry and like Henry, and like knowing what's going to happen and seeing seeing Sam's little cartoon drawings of him and his brother as superheroes.
Yeah.
And him, like his brother, like again, this is projection and me going like, don't worry, buddy. Like we're the heroes. We got to save these people. The people out there, they're the bad guys. That he's got the fucking hero mask on, Kyle.
Yeah, painted on.
Like he's got the painted mask on because that makes him feel like a superhero.
Yep.
Because a kid should still be a kid. And I know what's gonna happen, and it kills me. And it kills me because I saw little Sam's face, and I went, "Oh, buddy, no."
Yep.
I just sat there and I thought of him going to Ellie, "Hey, Ellie, what do you think happens to the people once they've turned?"
Yep.
Do you
See,
think
that's why
they're
I don't
still
think he's
there?
off
Like,
mute because you miss out on those lines. You know what I mean?
Scene. Yeah. Like Kyle, I really like it. Just dude, this is by far my favorite episode.
It is
by far my favorite episode. Like
now we're getting into it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. 3 episodes of exposition. I like a nice slow burn. But that's what I'm saying. Like, I feel like there's so, especially, I was saying this to my friends who came to watch it. This is why I don't think they're going to go right into the second game. We don't know anything about Jackson. And I want to know how you feel about this, Kyle. We don't know anything about Jackson. Not only that, my favorite part of The Last of Us 2, one of my favorite parts of The Last of Us 2 is the Seraphites. We know nothing about that cult.
I feel like 2 might be like 2 seasons.
I'm thinking 2 is going to be. I'm thinking the first half of like whatever season is game 2 is just Abby. Like I wouldn't be surprised. They're like, hey, we're going to do 10 episodes, 5 are Abby, 5 are Ellie, and you go back and forth every one.
What if they like? Spoilers if you never played the second one, you can skip past this. But what if they started off with Joel getting killed and then it's just Abby for a whole time, and then it comes back to Ellie?
Like the whole season, like they're only in one episode.
Episode 1 right away, and then it's Abby, and we see the father and stuff like that, and then towards the last episode, it cuts back to Ellie.
It cuts back to Ellie on the ground, crying, yelling, "Get up! Get up! Get up!" I don't think it's a bad idea, but you know how divisive Abby was to begin with.
Yeah,
you know what I mean, and I think Neil knows that. Because people hate The Last of Us 2 for the silliest reason. I think the silliest reason. I really think it's because a masculine woman, oh my goodness, like that, and because it's revenge bad. Yes, but you read into you really watch what's going on. It's not just about revenge being bad, it's about learning to forgive. But I don't think it's a bad idea, Kyle. The only thing that I think wouldn't happen is because people don't like The Last of Us 2 already. But also,
I don't think they're making it for those people that play the game for Last of Us 2. They're making it for the 7 million people that watch the show now.
That are watching it. And I'm with you. And I agree with you when you say that. It's just, I think they're going to get at least 2 seasons out of Pedro Pascal.
I don't think so.
No, really?
I think it's going to be a little bit.
You know what? But I hope you're right, really, because it would totally challenge the way I would see them doing it. It absolutely would. Or I think it'd be interesting to open season 2 with that, and then show what happens in Jackson. So you see, I like that and I don't like that, because anytime there's like a near run-in with death, you know that it's not going to happen. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, it's like, oh, let's go watch the Han Solo movie. I know no one's going to die. Like, no one important's going to die. Like, unless they're... Anyway, I don't know. My mind... Or
maybe start off with... If how it ends with the whole scene with the doctor, maybe start season 2 off with that, but from Thing's point of view.
That I could see happening. I could see them introducing Abby as a kid there.
Yeah.
And then you kind of
you're
follow.
Like, oh shit, okay.
Yeah. By the end of season 2, you understand that was Abby's dad.
Yeah.
Like that I could see. I could really see that. Is there anything else we should talk about, Papa?
I'm trying to think.
It was a very beautiful episode. Kyle, my favorite question to ask you, my good man, what do you rate this episode?
Definitely 9 out of 10.
Yeah. I'm going to give it, and I think I kind of hyped it up a little more when I was talking, like hyped up to myself. I forget what I rated the first episode. I want to say it was like an 8.9 to like a 9.1.
I think so.
I'm going to give this one a 9.2 to like a 9.3. Like right there, right in the middle of that. It's phenomenal. It really, really got me. And I've said it before with any sort of media. I'm there to cry. Like, I'm there to feel something. You can make me feel something. You won. You got me. You have a fan for life. Like, I will spend money on these things. And this is one of those episodes that got me. That just emotionally, I appreciate the Bill and Frank story for telling us a 16-year long love story, and it's capped beautifully with just I hated everyone and was happy when people started dying, but I realized that my mission in life is to protect people, and I protected the person I loved the most until I couldn't anymore. But I feel like in this episode, it said all of those things without saying it directly.
Yeah, it also showed us revenge.
Yeah. Showed us a lot of beautiful things, a lot of beautiful themes. Kyle, my beautiful friend, thank you for doing this with me.
Yeah.
Links to everything in the description. My Twitter, Kyle's Twitter. Wait for another episode coming out sometime soon. I love you. We will see you soon. We will see you later. Link to the Patreon. Thank you to the Patreon. Link to the Redbubble. I love you. Discord as well. Join the Discord. I love you. Be safe. We will see you next week. Bye, everybody.
See ya.
Hey, hi, it's Vince. I hope you enjoyed that video you just watched. If you'd like to support in any sort of way, in the description below there's links to my Twitter, the show's Twitter, and the Patreon. You could support at any level, and you could be on screen like some of the names are currently. I hope to see you soon. Thank you for watching, and if you get a chance, check out another one of my videos. I'd really appreciate it. Share it with a friend. Cool. I'll see you guys later. Be safe. I love you. Bye.